Welcome back, welcome in to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. That's right, I'm back with you, your host, Blair Parks. Holla at you, boy, as this is our Week 8 preview episode, coming to you live from the Man/Hawkeye Cave. And what a great upcoming weekend of college football we have. Once again now, because I am a very gracious host, I am going to offer you an additional course. If you recall, if you've joined me recently, weeks 4 through 7, that acted as our 4-course meal, so we could see finally to separate the contenders from the pretenders, those who are playoff teams, those who need some help, and everybody else. We had our appetizer, we had our soup and salad, we had the main course, and last week, week 7, what was our dessert? But I'm offering you an additional course. We have leftovers here in week 8. And thank you once again for being here with me on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, where we celebrate and discuss and honor all things college football across this great nation, across the entire landscape, but with a special emphasis and focus on the black and gold squads of the Missouri Tigers and the Iowa Hawkeyes. And even though this weekend might be a little bit of a down week for our beloved black and golds, both Missouri and Iowa are on a bye this week, definitely come at pretty good times for both squads, but I still have plenty to provide you and offer you. Week 8 basically is already upon us. Ragnarok has already began. Even though we're less than 48 hours from game day Saturday, we had an awesome game last night. That's right, on a Wednesday evening. Number 14 Coastal Carolina, undefeated, traveled to Appalachian State, and yet again, another upset. With last night's loss, on this season, there have been 48 losses that have been suffered by ranked opponents this season. And we're just past the halfway point, ladies and gentlemen. What a great, great season we've had. And before I go any further, kudos to Appalachian State. I think very highly of this program, but something that I was a little surprised about last night's victory over the Chanticleers was this is only their second ever victory over a ranked opponent. It's their first since, that's right, Michigan fans, all the way back to 2007 when they knocked off number 5 Michigan in the Big House 34-32. So that was their previous only victory over a ranked opponent. But this is now, last night's victory, is their first as a member of FBS Division I. So well done, Appalachian State. Golf clap, you deserve it. Now, when you look on the schedule for this upcoming weekend, it might seem like more like an undercard kind of weekend. We actually don't have a single matchup of ranked versus ranked opponents, but there still is plenty of sex appeal when you look at some of these matchups. I mean, very intriguing matchups that I see on this weekend's schedule. Also, too, I do want to mention, if you've been watching, you know I'm a geek, I'm a nerd, nerd alert, especially a sci-fi nerd, and dropping today, unless you've been living under a rock, for us sci-fi fans, finally, after almost 2 years of waiting, Dune is upon us. Hopefully it'll be the next Star Trek, Star Wars, E.T., Blade Runner, the next great sci-fi series or show. It looks to be like an epic movie, and I cannot wait to get my Dune on. I am so pumped. So the bye week for my Hawkeyes comes at a good time. Maybe I'll spend that time and indulge in some Dune, get my geek on, kind of like what Missy Misdemeanor Elliott used to say. Not get my freak on, but get my geek on, get my geek on. Definitely going to do that this weekend. But some very sexy matchups on the gridiron. And I'm going to go ahead and call a little audible. I thought about doing this. I think I am. That 1 through 10, I'm going to go ahead and say 9. And I think I don't believe I'll go over 9. I'll try. I'm going to try, spur of the moment, because I thought about doing this. Then I said no, but I am, because it's my show and that's how I roll. Like the wedding singer said, I have the microphone, I have the camera, and you will listen and watch every single word I have to say. So I'm going to go with 9. I'm going to try to drop 9 references to the original Dune movie from 1984. We'll see if I can, I definitely think I'll be able to go under, but if I go over 9, then maybe I'll go ahead and get myself something extra this weekend. Who knows? But I have just a couple of segments and topics to present and discuss with you today. Going to go through with you some of my key matchups, and then everybody's favorite segment, my potential what kind of games, Admiral Akbar? The trap. My potential trap games for week 8 and week 8 pick'em, and I am blessed to have our final guest picker. That's right. This is our last guest picker before our guest picker tournament starts. Is my friend, my colleague, Logan, is here to start his run to try to claim the Week 8 Pick'em champ. So stand by to see what games made the cut. He'll be facing off against myself and my former co-host, Charlie, Missouri fan number 1. So stay tuned to see how that's going to play out. But without further ado, let's get to talking about Week 8, the leftovers. So my first key matchup that I want to bring special attention to, great, awesome matchup of different styles. We have number 16 and undefeated Wake Forest plays out of conference this weekend, travels to Army West Point to take on the Cadets. And when I look at this, I ask myself, can Wake tame the Army triple option? Now, they did have a bye week, and any coach will tell you, and if you've watched the academies implement the triple option offense, the more time you have to prepare and scout, you're definitely in a better position and chance to defeat the triple option. And Wake did have a bye week to prepare, so definitely that favors them. But the Cadets, they're going to be rocking, and can the Deacons escape West Point as an undefeated? Or will, since it is Halloween season, or will the ghosts of soldiers and generals past haunt Wake? I'm talking General Patton, General MacArthur, Grant, Lee, or will they be exorcised by the infamous, villainous Benedict Arnold himself? Stay tuned to see how this game plays out there in West Point in New York. Next game I want to bring some attention to is a big tilt in the ACC. Clemson travels to number 3 Pittsburgh. Now, yes, Clemson was left for dead. They definitely have some deficiencies. Are they still alive in the ACC Atlantic Division? They are, but they are absolutely treading water. I've said for several weeks now, they are absolutely out of the college football playoff, which even if they rally and win the ACC, they will be. And this Pitt team is really hot. So Pittsburgh, they host Clemson. And so can Pitt remain hot and hammer the proverbial nail in the coffin of Clemson? I mean, Clemson's offense has been so inept and so vanilla and just plain. I mean, kind of like the way I like bagels. But are they, maybe Clemson, maybe they can find something new and improved. Maybe they're going to unleash a secret weapon, just like House Atreides had the Weirdling modules. There's reference number 1, folks, right there. So will they have a secret weapon that they might be able to unleash on the Pitt Panthers at home and knock them off? And I've got to say, if you don't know this name yet, folks, you're going to know it because I'm going to point it out to you right now, is the Pittsburgh quarterback Kenny Pickett. This man, if he continues to play at the level he is, he will absolutely end up being a Heisman Trophy finalist. Right now, he has 21 touchdowns to 1 interception. Amazing stats just over the halfway point. So we'll see. That's a big tilt in the ACC. Next game I want to bring to your attention, huge tilt in the Pac-12. Number 10 Oregon, who did have that loss a couple weeks ago at Stanford, they are still absolutely in the college football playoff discussion. But if they get one more loss, even if they go on to win the Pac-12 title, I do not anticipate that they will make the playoff field. So they travel to UCLA, a UCLA team that is still absolutely alive in the Pac-12 South Division. So this is a battle of two contenders from their own respective divisions. I definitely expect a good game, but it really comes down to, can UCLA reawaken? Can they become the team that we saw, the physical team that dominated LSU in week 1? Because that's been Oregon's kind of their kryptonite. They have always not done very well against physical caliber teams, aka especially Stanford. And UCLA is built more like a power football team. Can they awaken? Kind of like when Paul asks, "Father, the sleeper has awakened. Can UCLA awaken?" There's reference number 2 to Dune. Love this. Love it. Having a good time with this so far. So we'll have to wait and see who comes out on top in this huge tilt in the Pac-12. Oregon loses. Definitely could still win the North. But then right on their heels is upstart Oregon State, the Beavers. And wouldn't that not be great to see at the very end of the season, when Oregon and Oregon State meet up in the rivalry game known as the Civil War? How great would that be if that would determine the winner would take home the Pac-12 North Division? But that would make total sense in this season that we've seen. I mean, that would be excellent football. That would be must-see TV. And if UCLA wins, they are still right there with Utah for the Pac-12 South crown. So big game there. Big game out in Westwood in the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Next game I want to bring to your attention, maybe a game that this season has lost a little bit of luster, a little bit of sex appeal, is USC travels to number 13 Notre Dame. And last season, this annual rivalry did not take place due to not COVID issues, but the conference rules that the Pac-12, they only played Pac-12 conference teams. So last year we were not treated to this annual rivalry. And I love this game, even though USC is absolutely struggling, already made a coaching change. Maybe they've packed it in for the season. But this is still, to me, must-see TV. I mean, some of the greatest moments I can remember as a young man, late child, was watching these two teams every year. I mean, when you look at these two teams, I mean, the number of championships they've won, the number of wins, the number of Heisman Trophy winners they have. I mean, this might be the biggest clash of the two greatest nostalgic, historic programs for where they've been. But USC absolutely has been down. USC is still right there on that upper level. They were in the playoff last year, after all. But so maybe USC, can they provide some sort of drama? Make it close, or maybe knock off the Irish in South Bend? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I still will be watching this game, but I mean, it's really sad that the newer generation, they don't have any recollection of the Pac-12 being good. I mean, this is the Conference of Champions after all. So hopefully this game will deliver a little bit more drama and entertainment value than what it appears like right now on paper. So, man, and once again, I love this because you have two different teams from their specific spheres of influence traveling to meet up. You have Notre Dame from the Midwest, blue blood. You have USC from the West Coast. It's like traveling from their specific planets, Caladan and Gidi Prime, meeting up for a battle, a clash on the field of Arrakis. There's number 3 right there. I'm doing good. So we'll have to wait and see what this game provides for us. Next matchup I'd like to highlight is big one, huge, especially for our Iowa Hawkeyes moving forward. Even though they're on a bye this week, they'll be watching this game. This huge tilt within the Big Ten West. Wisconsin travels to number 25 Purdue, who did crack the AP rankings after that upset of our Hawkeyes last week. First time they've been ranked since 2007. Well done, Purdue. Is whoever wins this game really then kind of announces themselves as Iowa's primary contender or nemesis in the Big Ten West. Right now, even though I am a fan, I'm able to look at things independently. I'm not biased. I'm not a Homer Simpson. I still believe Iowa is the better team, the best team in the West. Their schedule looks good down the finish line as well. But whoever wins this game between these two teams definitely is going to be the one that they're going to have to be the most concerned with. And especially if Wisconsin wins, next week Iowa travels to Madison, to Madtown, and that place has been an absolute house of horrors, especially during Halloween season. Woo! So we'll see what Iowa can do. But for this matchup, it's not really potentially wide open in the Big Ten West. With that upset by Purdue over Iowa, it is a little bit more open for discussion. The winner of this game will be the number one challenger, as I stated, to reach Indianapolis against Iowa. But can Purdue sustain success? And I've seen this so many times, especially recently under Coach Jeff Brom's his time there in West Lafayette. A big victory, then they lay an absolute egg. Can they remain consistent and just sustain some sort of success? I really want them to. I mean, this man is making $7 million a year. And it's funny, a little side note, that when you look at his Big Ten victories, that 25% of them are against one team. That one team being the Iowa Hawkeyes. A little trivia nugget there for you. So he's figured us out anyway. He's 4-1 against Iowa. But can they sustain some success at Purdue? And this is an intriguing matchup. You have a Purdue offense that absolutely lit up Iowa that I think can light up Wisconsin also. Wisconsin's biggest flaw is their defensive secondary, which they absolutely exposed Iowa last week. I think the Iowa secondary is way better than Wisconsin's. But Wisconsin's biggest strength on defense is their front seven. They are best in the nation against the rush, but Purdue doesn't run the ball anyway. It's really going to come down to, can the Wisconsin defense get pressure on the Purdue quarterbacks? They kind of throw off their timing, their comfort in the pocket. Can Purdue score enough points against the Wisconsin defense? And kind of vice versa. Can the Purdue defense make enough stops? Because Wisconsin absolutely might be the more physical team. This is an intriguing matchup. I can't wait to watch this game. But it really comes down to who can control the pace and style of the game. Because after all, comes number 4, he who controls the spice controls the universe. There's I think that's another reference there to Dune. So we'll see. We'll see how this huge matchup plays out. Next key matchup I want to bring, and this is a must-see game. It's in the afternoon. Great time slot, especially with a lot of teams on the bye this week. Not really a lot of great matchups. Good versus good, as I pointed out. It's a huge profile game at the non-Power 5, but especially at the quarterback position. Nevada travels to Fresno State, and I love this game. These two quarterbacks, Carson Strong for Nevada, Jake Haener from Fresno State, these guys are going to be playing on Sundays in the near future. You definitely have got to watch this game because of how well these two quarterbacks are. And to prove that, coming into this game, here's their combined yardage. Between both of them for this season, they have thrown for 4,316 yards and 36-9. 36 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. I mean, these guys are killing it right now, throwing the pigskin around. I can't wait to watch this matchup. Definitely expect some offensive fireworks aplenty in this one. And plus, it's a huge game for the standings in the Mountain West Conference. I mean, I love the Mountain West. Can't wait to watch this game. Highly, I want to tell you, if you can, tune in, watch it, get the ratings up. It's going to be 2 studs, 2 generals, 2 potential pros. You've got Paul Atreides versus Fade Rutha in a knife fight. Battle till the end between these 2 quarterbacks. Another reference to Dune. I love this. But, yeah, I can't wait to watch this game. And speaking of, also, because I told you to please tune in, like at this point, to please remind you and thank you once again for your time, your support, your comments, your viewership. And let's get the word out there to all black and gold fans, but to every fan of college football, near and far, and everywhere in between. I ask you to please like, share, subscribe, comment. I definitely will share your comments on air, any questions you have, and would love to bring up topics that you would like me to discuss. So please, the more we have, the better. I always ask and wish for your feedback and your support. So next game, let's go ahead and my last key matchup that I want to bring to your attention. Huge tilt within the Big 12. We have number 8 Oklahoma State, undefeated Oklahoma State, travels to Iowa State. They play at Ames against an Iowa State team that maybe has kind of been laying in the weeds for a while. I mean, and this is my spotlight game of the week for Week 8, just to tell you right now it is. Can the Cowboys continue to silence the doubters? A lot of people really aren't sold on this team yet. I mean, they are a top 10 team, undefeated, play really good defense, but offensively they can look challenged at times. But then again, I mean, playing good defense in the Big 12 may not be good defense in other conferences based on what we've seen in seasons in the recent past. So a win here by Oklahoma State would absolutely silence more doubters. And to tell you, the line on this game, even though they are number 8 undefeated, they are a 7-point underdog on the road. That is mind-blowing. And the other side of this is Iowa State, a team that came in with high expectations, ranked in the preseason top 10. I mean, the ceiling for these guys was wide. It was high. Potential playoff crashers. And I must admit, I actually picked them to make the college football playoff. I believe that is done with 2 losses, but this is a team that was kind of put out to dry, like left alone, an afterthought, just kind of out to pasture to pass on and die. And we've heard nothing of them. I mean, they are 2-1 now in the Big 12. They got a pretty good win last week at Kansas State, which is a tough place to win. And if they win this game, they're going to be right back in the thick of things. And I expect that they will be ranked if they win. And then they will be probably the best challenger to challenge Oklahoma for the Big 12 title. Because remember, to get to the Big 12 title game, folks, there is no divisions. Just the 2 best teams meet automatically in the Big 12 title game. So if they take care of Oklahoma State, they play Texas, I think in 2 weeks does Iowa State. So they can continue to pick off competitors that are slightly ahead of them and key in on Oklahoma. I mean, this is an intriguing matchup. I mean, big win, huge potential win here for Iowa State and huge potential win for Oklahoma State as well. And kind of speaking about Iowa State being put out to die as an afterthought, to be disposed of, it reminds me of taking Paul Atreides and his mother to the desert to be left for dead and have the worms dispose of their bodies and the evidence. Same thing what's going on there at Iowa State. There's another one. Love it. Absolutely love it. So we have some big intrigue this weekend, big matchups. I mean, huge matchups. Can't wait to watch, even though it doesn't look all that appealing. But we're going to have a good time. I mean, college football has not let us down at all this season. What a great year we are witnessing, and I look forward to plenty more of the parody and the chaos. Let me get a quick swig of water here. Also, too, thank you for those of you who watched yesterday's midweek show. I mean, I have some immediate follow-up that I'm going to share with you during next week's midweek show on the updated storylines and headlines that I broke to you yesterday. If you haven't had a chance to view that episode, feel free. I highly recommend it. It was my Week 7 updated power rankings show. But now, let's move on to everybody's favorite segment, my potential trap games and our pick'em for Week 8. All right. So let me share with you first my potential trap games. Games that teams might be looking ahead to next week's competition or 2 weeks down the line if they have a bye, or those who might be upset because coming off of a big win or a big loss might be potentially sleepwalking a little bit. Now, before I move on, let me go ahead. I've got my game day attire on, as I do for every week's preview episode. Even though the Hawks aren't playing this week, or Missouri, I still need to keep the tradition going. So let me go ahead and adjust myself properly. Whew. Now I've got the game day hair on. I am ready to do some picks here shortly. So here are my potential trap games. And I always revisit these during next week. I always review these and revisit them during the review show. That should be out. Week 8 review should be out Monday morning, early afternoon. So here's the trap games for Week 8. Potentially, we have Northwestern travels to number 6 and undefeated Michigan. Now, why is this potentially a trap game? Next week is the huge rivalry, and next week will be rivalry week. I'm telling you what the title will be for next week's game. We have rivalries up and down the schedule next week. And next week, Michigan plays little brother, number 9, Michigan State, for the Battle of Michigan. So the huge, one of the biggest rivalries for Michigan is next week. So maybe even though they're at home, maybe they'll be looking past the Wildcats, who just got off the mat and got their first Big Ten win last week over Rutgers. Well done, Coach Patty Fitz, my guy, my number 2 man crush. So maybe Northwestern can rise up and get those guys, because the schedule definitely is it falls in a rough spot for Michigan with that rivalry next week. So look out, Michigan. Next one, number 22 San Diego State travels to Air Force. Another academy that runs the triple option. Could potentially be an issue for the Aztecs at elevation as well. They're in Colorado Springs. But next week, San Diego State hosts Jake Haener and the Fresno State Bulldogs. So they're definitely anticipating that's going to be an important buku game. So maybe they're looking past the Falcons and thinking about Fresno State next week. Be on the alert there, San Diego State, excuse me. Next one, LSU travels to number 12, Ole Miss. And next week, Ole Miss travels to number 19, Auburn. So maybe they'll be looking ahead to the Tigers. I mean, LSU obviously comes in wounded. We all know what's transpired this past week with the separation agreement at LSU between LSU and Coach O at Orgeron. Go Tigers. So maybe they come out inspired. Maybe they look to pull a road upset after last week's upset at home against ranked Florida. Maybe they can make it 2 in a row. So, Ole Miss, you better definitely be on the lookout, be ready to deal with the LSU Tigers, who definitely looked like a much different, better team last week. So we'll see how that one turns out. And my last one, USC at number 13, Notre Dame. Now, yes, Notre Dame is ranked, not highly ranked, but I don't think they'll be taking their rival likely, or I don't know, maybe they will. I don't know where the psyche is of Notre Dame, but next week, they definitely know what they're going to be facing. Next week, they host North Carolina. And North Carolina definitely has not lived up to their expectations, ranked number 10 in the initial AP poll. Sam Howell, one of my Heisman Trophy potential finalists, fallen off a cliff, but they're still scoring at a very impressive rate. His numbers are still high as can be. So next week, Notre Dame's going to have to bring their A game offensively. They're going to have to outscore North Carolina. So maybe they're thinking about them and maybe looking past the men of Troy potentially. We'll have to wait and see. So that is my potential trap games for the week. And one thing that I am going to do, kind of a little bonus for you folks. If you recall, episode 2 was my crystal ball predictions episode, to where it was a list of things that I predicted would happen either during season or at the end of the season. For example, coaching vacancies, hirings, firings, teams that would start hot, end up unranked, Heisman Trophy candidates who would rise and fall. And since I don't have to worry about doing a black and gold portion during the Week 8 review show, since Iowa and Missouri are off, I think I'm going to go ahead and revisit some of those crystal ball predictions here at the halfway point of the season. A little bonus there for you guys. Make sure to tune in on Monday for the Week 8 preview show, or review show, excuse me. So now it is time for some picks. Let me get a quick swig. This week, taking on Charlie and I in Thunderdome is my friend Logan. We'll see what he can muster up. Can he walk away with the victory? 3 men enter, 1 man leaves. Currently, Charlie has me on the season by 2 games. He took over the lead last week with my very disgusting display during picks. I need to get back on top. I've got to be the people want their champion back. I need to answer the bell. So here we go. Without further ado, let's make some picks. Our first game out of the gate is number 16 Wake at Army. Once again, I mentioned the difference in styles. Can Wake Forest tame the triple option, or will Army rise up and pull a huge upset for their program? Logan likes Wake. Charlie also likes Wake. I think this will be a highly contested physical game, but I think the team that is cleaner, has a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more talent will win, and I believe that team is Wake Forest. We all like Wake. Next game, huge game in the MAC, the Mid-American Conference. We have NIU, the Huskies, travel to Central Michigan to take on the Chippewas. And Logan, he's an Illinois guy, born and raised. He likes NIU. Good pick. Charlie, he also likes the Huskies of NIU. Me, I think the Chippewas rise up. They get a big victory. We have our first disagreement of this week's segment on picks. I like Central Michigan. We'll see. Next game on the docket, Wisconsin at number 25 Purdue. Definitely mentioned this game during the key matchup segment. Logan, he likes Purdue. Good pick. Charlie likes Wisconsin, which I think will be the more physical team. But when I look at this game, usually in the past, Purdue has laid an egg after a big victory like they had against Iowa last week. But I think this team is different. I think they forced the issue. They forced Wisconsin to have to score, and that has been a very uncomfortable spot for them this year. And their quarterback, Graham Mertz, I think Purdue, their defense makes just enough stops. They outscore Wisconsin. I also like Purdue. So we have another disagreement. Next game up, one I talked about. Clemson travels to number 23 Pittsburgh. This game, Logan likes Pitt. Charlie also likes Pitt. Me, I think this game will be very close. I'm very tempted, and I was, to pick Clemson. At some point, things have to click just based on their potential, their talent, their recruiting class, their coaching staff. But it won't be this week. I like Pitt as well. We all like the Panthers to get it done. Next game, Mississippi State travels to Vanderbilt. Big potential game, huge opportunity for Vandy to snap their 16-game losing streak against SEC opponents. That's why I've got this game on here. These are the two cellar dweller teams within their respective divisions in the SEC. So somebody's got to get a victory. Logan, he likes Vanderbilt. He spent some time working in Nashville. A little homer. I like it, though. Charlie, he likes Mississippi State. Me, I've got my pick right here. I really am very tempted to call an audible, but since Charlie and Logan aren't here, I can't give them the same opportunity. I won't. I'm rooting for Vandy. I want them to get that big victory. I like Coach Clark Lee and what he did at Notre Dame, but I think Mississippi State just has enough offense to get it done. I like the Bulldogs, so we have another disagreement between us three. Next game, LSU travels to number 12 Ole Miss, one of my potential trap games. This game, Logan, he's a big Coach O fan. Go Tigers. He likes LSU to score back-to-back upsets. Good pick. Charlie, he likes Ole Miss at home. Me, my pick, because as of yesterday, I didn't really see any updates today, but Heisman Trophy potential finalist, and to me, Matt Corral, the Ole Miss quarterback, is the Heisman frontrunner at this point. He may not play, very banged up from last week's game at Tennessee. No, he was not struck by a projectile. How pathetic was that still? But just ran the ball 30 times for 195 yards, got beat up physically, sore, bruised, may not play. So based on that, if he does not play, I absolutely like LSU to rally, to pull the upset. So that's what I'm picking. LSU, we have another disagreement between us three. Love that. Next game, huge game in the Pac-12. Utah travels to Oregon State. Logan likes the Beavers at home up in Corvallis. Charlie likes Utah. You know me if you've been paying attention. I'm high on Utah. My preseason pick to win not just the Pac-12 South, but the Pac-12 title. I'm going with the Utes. The two Utes to get it done. Another disagreement. Next game up, number 24, UTSA, the Roadrunners. They traveled to Louisiana Tech. Finally, they cracked the AP poll at 7-0. First time ever in their program's history. Ranked. Can they remain ranked for another week? Let's find out. Logan likes UTSA. He likes the Roadrunners. Charlie also likes UTSA. Me, I think UTSA, the more physical team. Great running back in Sincere McCormick, one of my favorite name drops in all of college football. So we all like UTSA. Go Meeps. Love it. Next game. When I mentioned USC traveling to number 13 Notre Dame. Logan, he likes the Fighting Irish. Charlie also likes Notre Dame. Me, I definitely think USC has the potential to cause some chaos. Like the Joker would say, hopefully it happens. I might be kicking myself for not picking it. This game really intrigues me, but I just don't know where the psyche is of USC. And it's at home for Notre Dame, so I'm also picking the Irish. We all like the Fighting Irish to get it done. Next game, what I talked about, huge game in the Pac-12. Number 10, Oregon, the Ducks fly south to UCLA. Logan likes UCLA. He likes the Bruins at home. Charlie, he likes the Ducks to take care of business. Me, Oregon's down their star running back, C.J. Verdell, done for the season. Shared that with you a couple weeks ago during updated storylines and headlines. UCLA punches them in the mouth. They're the more physical team. Oregon might have a plan to protect against that, but like Mike Tyson said, the philosopher, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. I also like the Bruins to pull the upset. Another disagreement. Next game. Big game in the Big Ten. Maryland travels to Minnesota. Minnesota's down their number 1 and number 2 running back. Can they pull off another victory at home? This week, Logan, he likes the Golden Gophers. He likes Goldie. Charlie also likes the fighting PJ Flex, the bald beauty, my #1 man crush within our conference. Me, because of Minnesota being down their running backs, Maryland spreads it out, definitely can score. I don't know how tough their defense is. This is going to be a back and forth game, but I think because of the offensive prowess of Maryland, I like the Terrapins on the road. Another disagreement. The next game, we have number 22, San Diego State, undefeated Aztecs travel to Air Force. This is our Academy Spotlight game of the week. Potential trap game for the Aztecs at altitude, dealing with the triple option. Let's see how this one plays out. Logan, he likes the Air Force Academy. He likes the Falcons. Charlie, he likes the Aztecs to get it done. Me, I think there's too much. Plus, San Diego State has not treated me well this year. I think I've picked against them every time I've had them on picks. But I think this week I get it right. I think it's too much for them to overcome. I also like the Air Force Academy at home. Another disagreement. Next game, this is our non-Power 5 Spotlight game of the week. Already talked about it. Nevada at Fresno State. Two gunslingers, two great quarterbacks. Can't wait to watch this one. Also a huge game within the Mountain West division. I love that. Mountain West. And that's not a typo. It's not a gaffe. It is the Mountain West. So let's see how we think this game's going to turn out. Logan, he likes the Wolfpack of Nevada to get it done on the road. Charlie also likes the Wolfpack. Me, I'm all about Jake Haener. I like the Bulldogs. Another disagreement. Now, next is our FCS Spotlight game of the week. And this week, we turn to the Ivy League. That's right. Big matchup between the nerds. You all just got your asses whipped by a bunch of goddamn nerds. Nerds! We have a battle of the nerds. We have Penn travels to Yale. Let's see who comes out on this one. Logan, he likes the nerds of Penn. Charlie also likes Penn. I think Yale is a little bit more battle-tested. They played tough last week. They hung with UConn. I'm taking Yale because in my past life and maybe my next life, I thought of myself as being a Yale man. We'll have to wait and see. Or maybe one of my children can be. Hopefully. So that is our FCS Spotlight game of the week. Another disagreement. And now we've reached the climax of picks, my Spotlight game of the week. Number 8, Oklahoma State travels to Iowa State. Huge matchup within the Big 12. Logan, he likes the Cowboys to win, remain undefeated. Basically might come down to then the Bedlam rivalry game between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, end of the year. Charlie, he likes Iowa State to rise up. Me, I think this is the coming out party once again. I think Iowa State rises like the Phoenix. They get back into the national spotlight, pull a big-time victory. And when I say big, I think it's going to be 17 points or more. I think this is the welcome back to the party discussion type game. I also like Iowa State, so we have a disagreement for my Spotlight game. Woo! Good stuff, good stuff. So once again, I thank you for your time, your support. Let me know how I'm doing. Comment the hell out of this episode. If there's something you'd like me to bring up, something I missed, something that I gaffed, I put my foot in my mouth, which I never claimed to be smart. This is well documented. Never have, never will. And please continue to like, share, subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your work week, your school week, your relaxing week. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the football. Hopefully the leftovers taste just as good the second time around. And I'll see you on Monday for the Week 8 review show. Until then, have a good one. Peace, love, prosperity. And thank you for joining me on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Talk to you soon. Bye.